This is a Samsung Q900R. This is a 75-inch 8K QLED TV. This TV was sent by Samsung for review on a loan. Now I've used this TV for about a month as my main TV. Watch TV on Netflix, we also watch Hulu, other streaming devices, and also play games on it too. I'm not a TV expert, but I will go over it based on my findings, and also I will throw in some specs as well that were sent by the manufacturer. And also I'll provide some additional reading down below if you want to learn more. Without further ado, I'm Kevin the Tech Ninja, and let's dive into it. The Q900 TV line comes in a variety of different sizes, from 55-inch all the way to 98 inches. And this starting price lands the TV at one of the most expensive TVs on the market today. The 55-inch model retails for $3,500, the 65 goes for $5,000, and the model I have for review is the 75-inch, and this retails for $6,500. But we're also talking about one of the newest TVs. It's an 8K screen. If you're unsure what 8K means, here is an oversimplified explanation. 8K stands for the number of pixels. 8K is 7680 by 4320, which in turn gives you a clearer picture with more details when paired with 8K content. But this type of content isn't readily available, as most things out there are still just regular HD, and then you have some things like Netflix and Hulu that are pumping out 4K content, but that's not regular. A lot of brands or a lot of things are not even shot in 4K still to this date, and yet we have an 8K TV. So it's really hard to show off 8K in its true capacity, but this TV does have an upscaling mode that does upscale up to 8K. However, in this video, I will talk about upscaling and talk about my quest to get 8K content on this TV to actually review it. First of all, this TV is bold and it stands strong. It's thicker than most TVs due to the backlight requiring more light to get through all the pixels. Although this design is very simple, I do find other Samsung TVs designed to be just a bit more attractive, but this is definitely my opinion. Although the stand is very sturdy, it just looks basic. It doesn't have that aerodynamic look as you see with newer stands. You can actually wall mount this TV too using Samsung's zero gap wall mount. And then when you wall mount it, you can put the legs in the back of the TV. So the TV has a way to store the legs so you don't put them in a closet or put them in a box somewhere and unable to track them down. The stands are always in the TV, which is really nice. This and other Samsung TVs feature a One Connect box. So instead of running multiple cables to the TV, you run everything to this box, and then from there, you route the one cable to the TV. On the back of the TV, it has a channel for the cable to run to keep everything nice and tight. The one box solution is great. It has 4 HDMI ports on the back, has an optical port, has a USB port, and a few other ports to connect things to your TV. The HDMI 4 port allows for a higher bandwidth signal, but as I'll mention a few times in this video, there isn't a way for me to really test this at this time. This box is really large compared to older Samsung TVs, as I have a model from 2017. The One Connect box is a lot smaller than what you're seeing today, but it's still small enough to fit into a stand or small enough to fit in a media cabinet, but it's just an observation I noticed as soon as I unboxed it. Once you get it set up, you are in the Tizen interface. If you have used anything Samsung related in the last couple of years, then this should look very familiar. It has all the usual suspects for apps like YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, and a lot of other things too. The apps look great when they are scaled up to 8K. Also within Samsung's ecosystem, you have a few other things too. So I can actually cast my Galaxy phone directly to my TV, but it also has support for AirPlay as well if you're on iOS. I can confirm that casting, doing the screen share from the phone works really great, and also AirPlay functionality works as expected. The AirPlay functionality is an update, and some of the older Samsung devices will be getting this update too, so if you have a Samsung TV, be looking out for that. And you also have SmartThings, which is Samsung's smart home ecosystem, so you can control your lights and speakers and other things that you may have in your house that are smart. You can connect them to the SmartThings ecosystem. And the TV is just another way to control it. And with SmartThings, it's a full dashboard, so if you have routines and schedules, you can launch those directly from your TV, like good night. So you go to your TV, select good night, and everything in your house turns off. So that's just an example of how SmartThings works and how you can use it within your TV. There's also a voice assistant on board, and this is Bixby, and it actually works pretty well on this TV. You can have it launch apps and do smart actions and other things like that using your voice. As I said, the voice search works pretty well, but it's still not enough for me to want to use it, as I just prefer using remote control to control a TV. I know some people who love voice search and it should work really great for them, but for me, I prefer just to use the remote to get to what I need. And speaking of the remote is very simple. If you've used a Samsung TV before, then it should look extremely familiar. But that's not a bad thing at all. It's very smart. It can detect almost any device you have plugged into your Samsung One Connect box. And then it will take control of it. So if you plug in a Fire Stick, it will recognize it and allow you to control it. Or if you plug in a sound bar, it will detect it and allow you to turn the volume up and down. And those are some really nice things that prevents you from having to buy an extra remote or Harmony or any type of third-party remote. You can still use your main Samsung remote to control these objects. Okay, so that's a lot of the bells and whistles that makes Samsung a little bit different than most of the competition. But let's talk about picture and what you're getting for that price. Since you're pretty much gonna have to upscale everything you're watching, since you're not gonna be watching 8K content anytime soon, upscaling is an extremely important feature that this TV has. And this is something that will make or break your viewing experience. Let me tell you this, upscaling is great. Upscaling is a lot better than I thought it was. I can watch 4K content on Netflix right now. It upscales it to 8K, and I'm not seeing any type of degradation of the signal or the picture or any sort of noise or artifacts. It just looks really, really good. Now I'm sure 8K will look even better, but as I said, I can't really test 8K content, but for 4K on this 8K screen, it looks really, really good. And even upscaling 1080p looks pretty good too. Now obviously upscaling 4K versus 1080p, there's gonna be a difference, but when you're watching it from 4, 5, 6 feet away, it's really hard to tell the difference. But once you get close, you can start seeing artifacts, you can start seeing extra things, and the lack of anti-aliasing and all those things kind of appear in the screen when you upscale 1080p. But still, that's expected and it still looks really, really good. And I'm actually impressed with it. Samsung really figured out upscaling to not lose a ton of image quality, and I think they hit a home run with this one. This TV also supports local dimming, however, you can't turn it off, but I think this TV does local dimming very well. And what local dimming is used for when you have a TV like this and you're in a dark scene and then something bright comes on the screen, sometimes you have this blooming effect or a halo around or haze around this lighter object. And that's a complaint I have with non-OLED TVs. You see a lot of blooming and hazing around content, and this is something you see quite often. Although blooming is still there, they figured out a way to make it a lot better than the previous models, and it's actually very passable, and it's something you sort of forget that's actually happening when you start watching content. Also, this TV is made to watch a variety of different angles, so it has wide angle viewing. So if you're watching not head on, sort of to the side, a little bit to the left or to the right, the picture still looks great. It has an extra panel, a piece of glass on front of the screen that is designed to prevent you from having issues. Some TVs, if you look at them at an angle, it starts to get dim. Brightness kind of goes away a little bit, and that's kind of not a great thing, especially if a lot of people are in your room watching and everyone can't sit right in front of it. You start to lose some of the picture quality. This TV just doesn't really do it at all, and I think they figured out a way to reduce it completely. And it's this little extra piece of glass that's in front of the TV that is doing it. Also, what this piece of glass is doing too, it's reducing any type of glare. So if you have this TV in a room with windows or lights and then it glares on the TV, so instead of having this one harsh spot, it may be just spread out a little bit and it ends up looking a lot better. It's something that I'll try to show in this video, but something in person that you can definitely see. So watching content, highlights look great with no loss of detail. The colors are very punchy, but I ended up turning to a different color profile after a while because I don't really like the punchy look. So this TV does come punchy and you can change it, but the colors are really good. I mean, it looks very similar to other Samsung TVs, and that's not a bad thing at all. I think Samsung produces a rich color, a little too rich for my liking, but it is something that most people would see and to their eye, they'll really enjoy how it looks. And the peak brightness for HDR is really good. So when you're watching HDR content, how bright the HDR actually gets. So in those elements of like fire and light and other things that are really bright, there is a huge difference between that brightness and then just standard brightness or darkness on the screen. So you can really see the difference, and it is very bright, and it just overall makes the picture look that much better and more realistic. Now, returning to this TV is the ambient mode, where the screen utilizes low power technology to put something on your screen as a screensaver. There's a lot of different things in here. You can download different backgrounds and wallpapers, clocks, calendars, and all those things. It's kind of a cool thing that sort of blends into the background, which I think Samsung is trying to do. It's just one of those nice features to have in the background. As you walk by your TV, you see a really nice picture, or you can even use the image behind the TV to make it look like it's blending into the wall flawlessly. Although I had issues with that portion of it, I still think some of the wallpapers or clocks or calendars turns out to work pretty well for me. So response time is only 2.7 milliseconds. So if you're watching sports or anything with fast movement, this TV will handle it just fine. It also has a flicker mode at 60 frames per second, which helps with gaming. The input lag is 17 milliseconds at 1080p, and for a TV, that is excellent. It also supports FreeSync, so if you have an Xbox or a PC using NVIDIA chipset, the frames will be in sync with the refresh rate. So this will just give you smooth gaming. This is not a gaming TV, but it has gaming features baked into this TV, which when you start playing games, you won't feel like you're lagging, or you won't feel like everything is delayed a little bit. It still would have some pretty fast refresh time. And then when you sync it up with your FreeSync using Xbox or PC, then it really starts to become really responsive, and it starts to feel like a monitor. Not quite, but it's getting there. And for a TV, especially at this size, wow, that's really good. Now, the overall brightness of the panel is brighter than OLED, but it's still lower than Samsung's QLED. So the more pixels that are on the screen, the more light is required to produce that brightness. This TV gets plenty bright, but since there's double the pixels, and Samsung did add more backlight to this TV because it does get a little bit warmer, you still are not getting that same amount of brightness. But as I said, it's brighter than OLED, and I have OLED TVs in my house that I think look really good, and I don't have the brightness all the way up. So this TV is not a dim TV by any means, but when you're comparing it to Samsung's non-8K TVs, it is dimmer than those. So in this video, I was trying my best to show 8K content, but it's proving itself to be extremely difficult. And this is sort of the theme of this video. So as a tech person, I had issues getting 8K content on this TV. I downloaded 8K video files online, put them on flash drives, plugged them into the TV, and I had issues getting those to play. I had to transcode the footage to make it work with the TV. So 8K just really isn't ready yet for prime time. So this TV is sort of ahead of its time right now. There's a video from Linus, I'm leaving a link down below, and he did a lot of work to make 8K gaming work from his super high-end PC, which was kind of interesting to see. It was definitely not plug and play, and that's unfortunate. But 8K is just not ready yet, but the TV is ready. So it's one of those things that if you need the latest and greatest TV, this definitely may be it. 8K is just, you know, amazing, and the upscaling is really good too. So it's not like if you're not using 8K, this TV is junk. No. But by no means. But if you're getting it for 8K, you should wait a couple years while 8K becomes a thing, because 4K is still rolling out, and even cable boxes are not pumping out 4K content consistently. So it's one of those things that, should you wait a little bit longer, or if you're a person that just wants the latest and greatest in technology, then this TV might be the one for you. And also, when you consider the price, this TV is a little bit more expensive than other TVs because it's brand new technology, and as you know, technology gets cheaper over time. Anyways, guys, those were just my opinions of this TV. What are yours? Sound off down below. Is this price too much for you, or is this something that you want to get because you want the latest, greatest in technology? Anyways, guys, Kevin the Tech Ninja here. Have a great day. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.